Hi, folks, and welcome to Original Firefighter. Original Firefighter is a lifestyle brand inspired by the American Fire Service. From gear for your off days to this podcast, we celebrate the fire service loud and proud every day. Remember, for every purchase you make at Original Firefighter, we give back 5% through our 5-Alarm Give Back program, supporting mental health and wellness for all firefighters. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, and be sure to check out originalfirefighter.com today. Let's get into the show. All right, everyone, welcome to the show. This is the Original Firefighter Podcast episode that I am very proud to be a part of, and I am your host, Will Peterson, and today I am so happy that in the studio we have all three partners, originators, co-founders of Original Firefighter, and I'm going to get right into it because we want to maximize our time today. I can already tell it's going to be a ruckus.
The chairs are spinning already.
Yeah, everyone's ready to tackle each other.
Maiden voyage.
Yeah, right. So I am your host, Will Peterson, and with me is Rob Layback and Aaron Beebe. Bybee.
I will answer to that name.
The BB gun.
My entire life has been people getting my name wrong, so I just roll with it. It's fine. It's fine.
No. I did it on purpose because everyone says my name as Pedersen.
Pedersen. Well, you are kind of a Pedersen.
Yes, you son of a... I knew right away it was going to be this way. All right. No, Rob Layback, Aaron Bybee, and we are Original Firefighter.
I feel like I didn't wear my shirt, so mine's a crop top, and I don't feel like I feel like I'm not in the right shape for that yet.
We appreciate that. We want to keep selling them, so.
If only you actually had that on, we could see the sales just go right through the roof.
Yeah, I have the logo painted on my chest, and somewhere in this podcast, I'm going to take my shirt off.
Actually, I like what you just did there because for those of you watching and listening, obviously it'd be easier if you were watching because if you've seen our actual logo, which you can see on the podcast here and on various shirts and apparel.
Check it out of the way. I'm going to break the fourth wall.
This is the OG logo, by the way.
It is. Well, we collectively, when it was being designed, we went through, how many designs did we go through? Even going...
I can't remember. It was a lot.
A lot.
It was a lot.
But we ended up with the abstract eagle. People, will say, why'd you go with the eagle? And it was like, well, because the eagle it's found on the American fire helmet. Usually it holds the shield, the company shield, if you will, that firefighters are assigned to. And the eagle, there's a brass eagle that holds that at the top of the helmet that holds it in place. So we thought, well, it's hearkening to the original fire service of the United States, and so why not?
Oh, yeah.
But we said that we wanted the logo to be something that it was cool enough that we'd want to tattoo it.
Yep. So later in this episode, Rob's...
we're gonna get over here, Rob.
It's only half done.
Right. No, I'm actually very, very proud of it. It's funny what we went through just to get to what we've got.
It came out good. I mean, it's when you're creating a brand, which we do all the time. You want something that's cool, but all the things that are firefighter related seem like we were going through ideas, and it all seemed like that's been done.
Yeah,
two on the nose.
And so when you brought up, I didn't even know this, but the eagle is holding the shield on the helmet.
Yeah,
that was a cool, I've been working with or doing things with you in particular in the fire department for 20 years, 15,
yeah,
20 years.
I was going to bring that up.
We I don't
met,
want to jump the gun. But
No. It's perfect because we first met in 2007. It might have actually been like a year before because I was working on the Honor Guard convention.
Yep.
In Rockford.
You were hustling.
Yeah.
You came to us, our company, our business, and man, I knew immediately this dude's a salesman. He's not really a firefighter. He's a salesman.
I kind of figured it was the other way around. I kind of figured you were probably pushing product.
I think I was able to like get him to part with half of his business.
Yeah,
I have no money.
Like, you were painting this vision of the future, and I was like, dude, that's great. I'm all in. By the way, can you donate like
hundreds of thousands of firefighters are going to be ascending upon.
I think it was pint glasses.
It was.
They're pint glasses for an event.
Yep.
And you're like, we're going to get this event in Rockford.
Yeah.
And if you donate these pint glasses to campaign to get the event into Rockford, then when the event goes on, you can, help us put on this event, which is great for our business.
Sure.
And you're like, it's like a done deal. It's 100%. We're going to get this event.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Will has no shortage of confidence. Warranted or not.
And then he came back. We met at like Mary's Market. And you're like, so we didn't get the event.
But thanks for the pint glasses.
But I got another idea for you.
Like, do you want to start a business together?
No, that was the memorial.
Yeah.
So you're like, we're going to raise money for a memorial for the next year, and then we're going to put up this memorial in Rockford to honor fallen firefighters, and it's going to be tied to 9/11 and all this stuff, and it was very cool. But I remember we're going to raise money for a year, and 8 years later,
8 years, long years later.
Oh man.
Just hang in there, buddy.
Almost there.
This 501c3 is going to pay off.
There's a transition point where I was like, I'm doing this for the memorial to I'm doing this just because I like to hang out with Will.
Yeah.
But I was still doing it for the memorial.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's the whole thing is it created such a deep and true friendship that I think it was just any time that we had a thought, we'd like, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? And,
yeah,
I mean,
it's good times.
It is. Yeah.
We realize, like, you realize this, when you do this, it's fun. You go and have a couple beers at the bar and you just dream, think of all the things that can happen, all the things you could do to make the world a better place. And that's fun. It's entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
It's half of being entrepreneurial, maybe even a quarter of being entrepreneurial, because it's the fun part.
Yeah.
Then going, okay, what's step one? And then you test to see if you really want to do something, because it's like, the grind is the thing that people have a hard time with. Ideas are fun, especially after your second IPA.
Yeah.
The ideas come.
Yeah.
All the good and bad ideas.
Yeah.
Which we went through a lot of.
We did.
Even leading up to this.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, Rob, I think you and I could probably talk for far longer than this episode about history,
Right.
And I can remember you guys got hit by that tornado or the straight winds. Remember you guys lost all your power for days, and all the trees around your neighborhood were down, and you guys were, and I think I was going out of town for something, and I'm like, here's my place, just move in, and then remember you moved in and you're like, I had to move all your bourbon bottles because my little kid was going to knock them all over.
You have like $50,000 in bourbon on a shelf, and I've got
more
3
than the
kids
value of my house
around.
in bourbon.
Yeah. And so then Aaron, you and I, how we became such fast friends. I talk about sort of that, deep rooted between Rob and I.
Right.
But then I look at the three of us and and you two work together and the three of us have a business and then it just clicks. And at least that's the way I see it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, again, I'm just sitting here in this episode going, it's going to be a great one because the friendship is awesome. It's real. I think I've, dreamt about like, man, if I could, just hang out with, a couple buddies of mine, have a cool business or a good, even a hobby, it's like being in a band. Rob is actually in a band.
We're in bands.
Still in a band.
Yeah. I think I've said this before, but one of my favorite movie quotes is from Young Guns. that historically accurate movie. But
I just want to know which character you think you are in that movie.
Me?
Yeah.
I can't assign myself. That has to be assigned to you.
I used to love that movie. I had the soundtrack, Bon Jovi on it.
Yeah. Emilio Estevez.
That's who I was
Estevez. Charlie Sheen.
However he says his last
Who
name.
would have thought they were brothers?
I feel
Bring
like,
it back.
What was I talking about?
I feel like Charlie Sheen's blood could have cured COVID.
It could have sterilized it, maybe. Cured, I don't know.
We could all be walking around with tiger
kept
blood.
America awake for 10 years.
But where I'm going with this, with Young Guns, is that in the movie there's a quote where as Billy the Kid, he says, you get yourself 4 or 5 good buddies, well, then you've got yourself a tribe, and there ain't nothing stronger than that.
Yeah.
And I've always, I've repeated it. I've held on to that statement. We've had some of our other friends come on the show, and, I feel that way. And what's interesting to me is how many of our collective friends that did not know one another, and then through us, sort of, they just keep kind of coming back together. And now there's this circle of people that,
right,
they surround us. Would always probably, we would be there for them.
Yeah.
But I would feel that, several of those, and I know who I'm referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. But I think that ties into like why we're doing this, because I think that's a question to be answered on this show is if we're if we're going to be out there and saying, hey, we're Original Firefighter, it's like, well, why?
Well, and firefighter, recently retired, not a firefighter,
right?
Not a firefighter.
I do
let him wear the sticker badge every now and then.
I've put out some fires.
You're usually starting more than you put out.
They're mostly proverbial fires.
Yeah, right. Metaphor. A lot of
metaphorical fires.
Metaphorical.
So why? Like why start a company called Original Firefighter?
Sure.
Why build something to serve the fire service? Mm-hmm. And for me, it started the weekend we were down at Lexington together.
Yeah.
We were there for Will's birthday. And honestly, we were down there with 5 firefighters?
Yeah.
And family?
Yep.
And going into
from different places, So Arizona and New York.
Yeah. So from this point forward in this conversation, we'll refer to Rob as Robert.
Right.
Because we have Arizona Bob.
Right, we do.
Yeah.
This is Robert Layback.
Yeah. I don't go by Robert. I changed that when I was like 5.
I don't know if you get to choose that.
We could just call him
chose
Rockford Rob.
I like
that. works.
I like that. Rockford Rob.
I dig it.
No, he likes it. Never mind.
He doesn't like
it. No Bob, no Robert.
All right, so Rockford,
just Rob.
Yeah, all right, Rob.
Fine.
All right,
Can I just be Rob?
Are you not proud of where you're from? You are.
Are you from here?
What do you mean by from? I grew up here.
Were you born in Rockford?
I was not born in Rockford.
Okay. All right.
There's another rabbit trail right there.
Yeah, well, sure.
Also not born in Rockford. Also not born in Rockford, right?
No. I was born in Minnesota.
Somehow we ended up here. So a weekend in Lexington, I had never hung out with firefighters outside of you,
right?
Before that weekend. So I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. It was a blast. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, honestly, my biggest concern going into the weekend was, am I going to be able to hang with these guys? The answer is no.
For one day.
For one day. One day, once a decade.
You woke up the next, you're like, I got to go home.
I can pretend to be a firefighter.
Rob, drive me home.
I
got to go home.
It was a lot of fun. It's a good time just hanging out.
Jake's Cigar Bar.
Jake's Cigar Bar.
There was a point, like, speaking of hanging with firefighters, and you're like the poster child of, like, you do not operate like other people. And maybe a lot of firefighters are like this because of the way you guys operate
You just keep pushing
operate
forward.
even when you're tired.
Yeah.
Not to mention having a liver of steel.
A liver of steel. Like I'm at an age where if I drink 3 beers, IPAs, let's call them.
Right.
It's like 3 days there's a day of recovery for every beer I drink.
Yeah.
Where you wake up and you go work out. I'm like, I don't get it. I've not been gifted that, but I remember we were at Halligan's,
Great bar.
Kentucky. I want to say it was 11.
Super late.
Yeah. And we
late for me. So I had stopped drinking at that point. I'm like, I'm just hanging and I'm not having anything else. And at one point you were like, you gave me your bourbon and you're like, dude, you don't have a drink. Take my bourbon,
buddy.
And that's like your generous heart. You like gave me your bourbon.
Do you even drink?
And then like half an hour later, you looked over and nothing was gone out of that bourbon glass. And you took it back.
So that night, that same night, Halligan's Bar, got into a conversation with Arizona Bob. He was enlightening me not only on what the job is of a firefighter, but how unprepared new recruits are coming into the service.
Right.
Part of his job is bringing these guys through the educational process to be ready.
Yep.
And their just normal preparedness to walk into that situation is so low. Okay, I'm a dad of 3 boys. My kids can cook. They can clean. They're learning how to be a part of a team. They're learning how to shut off their device and actually engage in the real world. These are things that it sounds like are not common in recruits coming in now.
Right.
Or maybe it's a much lower percentage of people that kind of have that baseline knowledge than, previous generations. So that conversation for me was eye-opening. Number one, it was like, okay, I didn't grow up with firefighters in my family. The only relationship I had with a firefighter was a guy that lived next door to me when I was a kid in Fresno, California. Thought he was awesome because he got permission to do a controlled burn of a field that we had filled with tumbleweeds. We had made a tumbleweed fort out of it. He brought the fire department out. They burned the thing down, and it was awesome. So that guy was cool. But outside of that, I had no idea of what the fire service was.
What state were you living in with tumbleweeds?
That was California.
Okay, California.
Yeah, California.
I figured California.
Not the California people think about.
Right.
But it's, actually 90% of California is that way. Anyway, for me, it was like, there's something here. You were getting ready to retire from the service. We had already been talking about, what are we going to keep Will busy with after he retires from the service?
He's just going to drink a lot.
So we started going down this idea shortly after that, coming back to Rockford. And we're like, okay, well, what if we, there's an opportunity there. And I think you're talking about the entrepreneurial mindset. I think that is something that is, the more and more firefighters I meet, that's something that's like core to the personality of a firefighter. They're entrepreneurial. They're looking for opportunities to help. They're not afraid to roll up their sleeves and get things done. So,
well, and I think also that just firefighters they're out there in the world seeing things break all the time.
Yeah.
Things are just getting broken all around. And their brain is just hardwired to fix things,
Right. That
or
makes sense.
like you said, make things better. But
Is there a thing too, though? I've thought about this a little bit. We live in this information age, and there's so much information and possibility and ways of doing things that make options. That they present options of doing all kinds of things that you could potentially do with your life. And a lot of people think of all the things and I see this a lot. A lot of people think of the things that they want to do, and they start walking towards this thing. And then they move and they walk towards this thing. And then they watch a YouTube video and they move towards this thing. And they never really do anything.
Chasing shiny objects.
And there's even a lot of analysis paralysis. And people can't make decisions and stick with them. But I think as a firefighter, you're trained, and I noticed this with you when we started working together, is you're very action oriented.
Yeah.
where I have a tendency, and I think Aaron's like this too, is like preparation, set things up, make them very tidy, make sure everything's in its place before you take off. And maybe this is part of how we balance each other out, because you're like, let's get this sucker going.
Yeah, let's go and figure it out when we get there.
And as we move, we'll adjust and we'll make things better. And I've learned some things out of that, because there's
painful lessons in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to circle back, but it's better than never going.
No, I mean, I don't. Yeah, and there's a lot of metaphors in my own life I can draw to that. I mean, I have no problem to, I've jumped out of planes, I've jumped off the stratosphere and lost, sort of that, don't look, just jump. And I, there is a part of me that feels driven by the adventure, driven by the possibilities, and again, it's like, I could fail for sure. And I have failed in lots of ways. But I think this goes back again to the relationship that we now have, the three of us, is that this is probably the foundation that I know is super, super set and strong. And when you figure that out, when you finally feel like, man, I don't think I've ever had such a great foundation to stand on amongst, whether it be friends, whether it be a business venture, things of that nature. It's like, that's how I knew that we had something with this company.
Well, I think we learned some lessons along the way too, right? Yeah. And I think that's true with most entrepreneurs. I mean, they're hitting things, fail fast, right? I mean, that's kind of a philosophy in this world. Right. Fail fast, find the thing that succeeds, stick with it, pour into it, keep moving.
I think you have to 100%. I used to hear that from online like Instagram personalities that were like business gurus, or like, you got to fail and you got to fail forward fast and you got to learn and take it on the chin. And I'm like, yeah. But I think, so I went back and got my MBA. I have too much schooling. And I paid for it. I literally did pay for it. I paid all my loans
I remember
back.
You going back to school. I think didn't I write you a letter like could you please just give this guy a diploma?
Give this guy a chance, please. So they listen to you. I'm
Came
like,
out of a crack.
He's a little slow, but he'll work really hard.
This is coming from a district fire chief. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back, I remember going back through getting my MBA, and I was in work operating a small business at the time, and going through these classes, and my professors were teaching these concepts. In my mind, I'm like, this is a great concept. If you work for a Fortune 500 company, what you just said is great. Mm-hmm. If you have a huge budget and lots of people that can do things. And I would always challenge them, and I'd say, what about for my business who has 5 people?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to figure that one out.
Yeah, there's no good answer
for the education.
Yeah, and I think that's the card I get to play with. When I'm having conversations like this with the two of you, is that you can literally give me you can lay that out, like what your MBA was all about and how you went through that, navigated those waters, and you're around all these business thinking people, and they're saying, if you have these assets and that, and I can sit there and play this card and go. And that's where, again, don't mean to, beat the dead horse, but that's where Original Firefighter comes from in a way, which is the respect of firefighters. And it's like, you can give them it's like MacGyver, like give them 3 or 4 assets. And it's like, yep, I will get us out of this room and out of this house and save 5 people and, 2 dogs. And like, that's like, they'll just make it work. Yep. And that it goes back, Aaron, to your point that so many of them are entrepreneurs. They're business owners. They have a side, we call it the side hustle. But
let me ask this: is that trained? I'm guessing part of that is nature, parts nurture. Is that trained? Absolutely. Is that trained, or does a fire department see that quality in candidates and hire those types of people that can think on their feet and move through a situation on the spot, figure out solutions?
Yeah. First of all, I think that the general public, would be fascinated to know what the rigorous challenges that candidates are put through before they're even selected to be like, hired or put on a fire department list to be hired. But, the testing process in and of itself, on its first blush, you think anybody could do that. Like, you have to have a high school diploma, have a clean driving record, and no felony arrests. I mean, it's really basic stuff.
I'm out.
Yeah. We're all screwed here. And over time, the fire service has added preferences like, well, we would like for you to come from the volunteers, services, or at least be paid on premise, or have a degree, associates, a bachelor's. I mean, it over the years, it's become very, very competitive. But the basics to do it is just, it's just what it is. It's very basic. I think that when you get into it and then you realize there's a written aptitude test, basically. There is a physical agility test. Along with that, usually there's a psychological background done on you, and they're not, it's very in-depth and rigorous. And so it's kind of like digging into your brain and your mind and what your mindset is, sort of revealing what skill sets do you have, up there in your head that you may not really know that are there.
Yeah, what capacity do you have to cope with the job too?
Yeah, and then you get all that stuff put together. You sit in front of an interview board, and they determine do they want you on their department or not? And then when you get on, that's when the real baptism starts, because you're gonna screw up.
Yeah,
like right out of the gate, you're gonna screw up. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fall on your face and not realize like everything that you did to prepare was like, it was enough to get you on the job or get you in the recruit academy or whatever you call. Once you get into an academy, and then you just realize that you're just a pair of boots.
Yeah,
and they're that the instructors, they don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your walk of life. They do not care about your specifications of being a person. They don't look at your skin color, gender, or whatever. They don't care.
I love that.
Be there for one purpose.
They care about, can you do the job?
We need more of that.
Can you do the job? This episode of the Original Firefighter Podcast is sponsored by Castle Contracting. Castle Contracting offers commercial and residential restoration, leading the industry in roofing, residential siding, gutters and downspouts, egress window installation, storm damage assessment and repair, and solar energy, saving you money and time. If you want to be treated like royalty, contact Castle Contracting to schedule a free inspection. Call them at 877-512-4207 or go online and visit castleexteriors.net. That's 877-512-4207 or go online and visit castleexteriors.net. Serving Illinois, Wisconsin, and Kentucky, Castle Contracting has you covered. Your home is your castle. Call Castle Contracting today.
I think that's one thing that I love about this, and I think you're in a situation where it is life and death. We've always said this, like in our business, where if I mess something up, nobody's going to die. I can fix it. But you're in a situation as a firefighter, a police officer, military, a doctor. If you make a wrong call or don't make any call, have analysis paralysis,
right?
People die.
Yeah.
So there should be no skin color. It should be who can do this.
Who can do the job, yeah.
Let's be objective. Who can do the job? That's it.
Yeah.
And that's...
I'll be clear as day. The DEI is not an acronym that I give two shits about. I'm not partaking. I'm just on record.
I hear that a lot. I mean, the more we talk with firefighters, it's
no.
When you're in a building and you're fighting a fire, you don't care about who's behind you as long as they're doing their job.
Right.
So, yeah. So what's the washout rate like then in that first, you get on the job, you got a year, I've heard somebody say before, you'll never stop making mistakes until you've made all of them, right? Like because you learn from your mistakes. What's the washout rate like? Is it something that most people get through that first year pretty well, or is it a little bit higher?
Yeah,
dropout?
33 years in the fire service, 28 of them with, City of Rockford. And there always is, 2 2, 3 that, you know, they show up on day one. They're not there at graduation.
Yeah.
And that's not a very, you know, first of all, you don't want, say, have a class of 20 people and have only 10 get through it.
Right.
You know, you don't want a half 50% fail rate. When I say you don't want is you know, first of all, there are standards that every fire department has to follow.
Yeah. You want the vetting process to be effective.
Yeah. And you want it to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of whether or not I subscribe to DEI or anything like that, I do subscribe to the idea that there are definitely standards.
Sure.
You know, and those standards are basically all firefighters, regardless of, you know, the things, you know, gender and backgrounds and whatnot. The standards is the standard. Can you do this? You know, as far as like, you know, getting through the academy, there's a few that won't. Most will. That's a good thing. And then usually there's another aspect to it, which is, you know, I'll call it, say, paramedicine. You know, becoming a paramedic, that's a requirement by a lot of departments. Not every single department. Some have different models. But most of them have some sort of a medical component to it. And I'll just speak from the paramedic side of things, which is, that is freaking hard.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. I mean, you can go through and swing axes and, you know, break stuff and, you know, learn how to use an SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, and drag people out of, you know, buildings and whatnot. Okay. But it is literally being a paramedic where they basically teach you medical school.
Yeah.
That
blows my mind.
18 months, you know.
So you can't be afraid of blood. Is that what you're saying?
You can be, just don't tell anybody.
You can't faint when you see blood.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be that Chris Fry. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my
god. New kids in the corner puking. So yeah,
so the range of skill set for a firefighter is so vast. I mean, your mental capacity, your ability to retain all that knowledge and execute it on the medical level, let alone your understanding of construction and engineering and process and all the things that are going to keep you safe and keep people safe as you're trying to fight a fire in a building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like two polar opposite careers that somebody's got to have the capacity to.
Yeah. If it's not dealing with breaking the law, the fire department handles it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Everything, if it's law related, you breaking the law, that kind of thing. The police department, the police officers, and God bless them for what they do, because I wouldn't want that.
Right.
You know, that's not, you know,
this doesn't
too much would
shortchange that at all. No.
You know, but everything else falls into the fire department's pocket, and it's like hazardous materials and auto extrication and technical rescue and dive in the river and do CPR
But you talk about the type of personality, somebody who wants to do something different every day.
You got it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's great.
That was one thing as I got to know you and hearing the stories that you told of things you responded to. I started thinking, very few of these are fires.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And a lot of them were tragic.
Yeah.
You know, I think prior I was like, you go, you pull up on a fire, you put it out with the hose, and you go and go back and make dinner.
Yeah, it's like the 5-year-old mindset of a firefighter. Right. It's like what we all think would be awesome until we realize.
That's what you guys.
But you started talking about some of these accidents and things. Well, just one of the most recent things you responded to, where you were first setting up command post for a stabbing spree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in
mass
Rockford,
casualty
which was terrible. I mean, I think that made national news.
Yeah, it did.
And not to get into too much detail, but you had to deal with some stuff in that in my mind, I'm like, I wouldn't be sleeping for a while.
Yeah.
And nobody really thinks about that. A mass stabbing spree that firefighters are on site dealing with it.
And not the only mass casualty event you had to respond to in your time of service in this city.
You know, for anyone that's listening or viewing, it you know, we're all coming from different places in the you know, in the United States or around the world. It's like you work in your city. I have respect for what you do in your city. I have respect for the city that you work for. I come from one particular location, and sometimes I have stepped back and been like, Rockford is no joke.
No.
You know,
It's a little nuts, man.
It is a little nuts.
There's always a siren in the background.
We call it the Rockford soundtrack.
Yeah,
Man.
you know, it's not, and that's not, you know, there's a part of me that wears that a little bit like a badge of honor, you know, but at the same time, you know, I feel for those individuals, those people, the citizens that have had to suffer through those bigger incidents, the mass casualties, if you will. And yeah, I mean, I think about the firefighters quite often. I really think about, you know, for example, the neighborhood that you're referring to and that incident that you're referring to, but I think about the neighborhood.
Right.
And I think about the families and things like that. I drive past Don Carter Lane, and, you know, quite often. And I, you know, it's just like I go right back there and remember.
So let's talk about that
mass stabbing. Immediately after, I thought to myself, we need to ban guns.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is also a comedy podcast.
We're going deep on this one. We're gonna get there though, 'cause I got something in store.
All right, before we get there, let's hang there a second. So let's talk about the 5-alarm Give Back program, because I think as we're talking about some of the trauma that can come along with these events that firefighters are being dispatched to, and just the day in and day out rigors of the job. You know, we've talked a lot about the weight that puts on the firefighter as far as their mental health goes. You've used the illustration before, the backpack, loading that up as you go through your career. So we'll talk a little bit about the 5-alarm Give Back program with Original Firefighter, why we decided to take, you know, that as a direction for our company as part of our mission as a company.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you're going to do this and if you're going to be a part of the fire service, you know, as I am in say post-retirement, first of all, firefighters, law enforcement, paramedics, all the, you know, the individuals that we're talking about on the show, they're constantly giving back. Let me be clear about one thing. They're not paid enough for what they're doing. And again, I understand that, you know, that might sound a little selfish, because apparently, you know, that would somehow be associated to me as well. I don't see it that way. I'm trying to look at it from
it's the value of the contribution, not a complaint about what they're drawing.
No, right. And that's what it is that, you know, they're doing this thing. And so I think just by nature, firefighters are already giving more of themselves than what they realize. And so, you know, to be in a company that's calling itself Original Firefighter, we have to be a part of that give back as well. Right. We can't just be, you know, hey, buy this, hey, you know, wear this lifestyle brand, and oh, you know, you're a part of the tribe, and and ain't that great. It's got to be something that's deeper, and there's meaning behind it, which is, you know, for every purchase made, then we give 5% of that purchase to mental health and wellness programs at our local level and also up to the national level. So the intent being that we're supporting locally, because again, I mean, why would you not help out your hometown? You know, that's again, it's just pride. And then where we want to go with Original Firefighters, we want that national embracement, where, you know, I'm a firefighter from fill in the blank, you know, this town, this city, this village, whatever it is. And then you meet another firefighter, and he's out in Arizona. And this is why, you know, you refer to like last year in Lexington, Kentucky was so fun, because it was like these guys get together. They come from different walks of life. They come from different places around the country, but right away they're friends. Or they're
there's
you know, acquaintances at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's that shared experience. Even though everybody's bringing a different story to the
Yeah.
table, and they're all great stories, and I want to hear more of them
Yeah.
on the podcast.
And so, and the common experience ends up, usually it's, I'll say it's probably, 90% funny, cracking each other up, telling each other about, this story, that story. Usually there's some reference to, your, like it's like your mom and your sister always gets brought into the, like somehow, everyone had a fun time with them, last night or something, so everything is on the table. Like it's, you're going to get bashed.
Yeah.
You're going to get, some dents and bruises. And then, that's 90% of it. And then about 10% is we end up sharing some of the worst of the worst. And it's funny because that's really where this 5%, the five alarm give back program goes to, is that
right.
There's that 5 or 10% of the job that it sucks. And you can say, hey, I signed up for that. It just goes with the territory and all that. But there are such alarming markers out there right now where firefighters they're not helping themselves. They may not know how to get help that they need. And then they're going down the road of the worst of the worst. And all of a sudden we see that firefighter suicide outpaces line of duty deaths. And that stops me in my tracks.
I mean, that's
I just go, what? When, what? First, the job is dangerous enough as it is.
Right. Yep.
We don't need to add another layer of hopelessness. And so again, I mean, that's the long version of why this company does exist and what its intent on.
There are clear heroes in our society. And that could be those who defend our country. That could be our police officers that make sure we're safe on the street. It's our firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, people in our society that are truly... There's a lot of things we can do without. And there are a lot of careers and positions in our society that are almost self-made. And do we even really need them? But we need these people.
Yeah.
And they're the things that if everything else is
and they're dropping off.
Yeah.
Right.
We need them healthy.
What I just want to real quick is that great thing to say is that we do need them. And the numbers are so down.
And I think that speaks to the other half of the reason we went about starting this company. I mean, it was, the 5 alarm give back program. We want to care for the people that are caring for us, for sure. But then I think also the just awareness about what the fire service is. I think if people really understand it, like I didn't understand it till that weekend. After I did understand it, I'm like, I want my kids to be ready, to take the test.
Yeah.
Whether they go into it or not. Why wouldn't you? Like when you look at all of the responsibilities, but then the training, that's acquired when you become a firefighter. There's a lot of expectation in careers out there and very little training for people to actually do their job successfully, do it well.
That's one thing.
Work as a team.
It never ends. Seriously,
which I think is awesome.
Never ends.
I think it's a great career path. If your mind is in it, if your heart is in it, you can, it seems like, take something extra to actually survive the career. If that's the career path you're going to go down. But anyway, I think increasing awareness of what it actually is should increase recruitment numbers. It should increase retention. I think there's just a lack of understanding. There's a disconnect between the general public of what a firefighter is, what they do, and their day-to-day interaction with them. Like the 2 recent interactions I had with the fire service outside of this company, my neighbor went into anaphylactic shock, called for medical help. Fire department showed up. We had a gas leak in our house. Not a major one, called the gas company. The fire department showed up. Right.
See, there you go.
I mean, so these are, interactions that we're having, but they don't truly paint a picture of what happens in the firehouse and what's happening on a day-to-day basis. That's the team, the family aspect, all that stuff. It's kind of left off.
That's where the curtains get closed, and we're like maybe the public shouldn't see all this, you know, but I mean, it's not
but
bad.
I actually think there's a draw to it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. And there's always sort of that, overly hyped idea that, you know, it's like a freaking frat party going on, or, you know, it's not that. There is a big component to going, again, you know, you go out on the street and you answer all these calls, and you're going to the anaphylactic shocks, and you're going to the gas leaks, you're going to the fires, you're going to the car accidents, you're going to all these things. The firehouses, you have to come back and shut it off somehow.
Right.
You have to be able to get back to your home base, reset. You know, you don't get in, you know, unless you're, you know, maybe, you know, say you're a volunteer, or you're paid per call coming in, you know, to your firehouse call by call, or if you are a full-time firefighter and you stay at the station for 24 hours. That's what the firehouse is about, is a place where you're supposed to be able to sort of take a deep breath, you know, get some food,
right? Yeah.
Get some food. You know, people walk in and they're like, "Why do they have recliners?" It's like, well, because we want to sit down.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like we just want to freaking sit down and you know, just, you know, give me 20 minutes or whatever it is to. When I was doing my thing as a district chief, like I just needed you to be prepared.
Yeah.
You know, and I already knew that, you know, company officers, they would take care of that preparedness. They would be a part of that, you know, daily routine of, you know, today we're going to do this training. Next day we're going to do this training. You know, there's always some training aspect going on every single day. Mm-hmm. And I relied on the officers to make sure that everybody was doing that and ready. I needed firefighters that were going to be well rested, have a couple of good meals, because of the amount of work that I knew that they were going to have almost every single day. You know, going out on 10, 15, 20 medical calls, throw in a structure fire, throw in 2 structure fires, throw in a couple extrications, auto accidents. I mean, it doesn't stop. The best firefighter is a well-rested firefighter. Yeah. That's not bullshit. Yeah. That's real. Like
I'm saying, like I know, but
but that's my rant.
For the listeners, I'm just active listening here.
You talked about numbers being down, and I think this is something that hopefully we can help with Original Firefighter. When the military needs people to join the military, they'll come out with Top Gun, Band of Brothers. You know, a movie will come out, and
I don't know if Band of Brothers would make me want to be
right.
Although but pride.
You watch Band of Brothers, and you're like, you're proud of those people. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You're proud to be an American. You're proud to like be on the side of people that fight for freedom and liberty and everything. I'd like to think we stand for as a country. And when I did watch that, I was like, I would want to. That's something I would want to stand for, and I would like to think that recruitment does go up.
Those are values that you want to align with.
Exactly.
Right? Things you see in yourself. Yeah.
The thing is we went out, we were filming one day, our local fire department, we went out on a building fire, and I had that feeling of like, I'm proud of these guys. Mm-hmm. Like the way they operate and the way that they work together to execute is something you just don't see. Like there's no politics, there's no race, there's no sex, there's let's work together and get this done.
Everybody knew their job.
It stirs you up watching that. You're like, I want to be part of something like that. Mm-hmm. The problem is nobody sees that.
I had front row seats to it.
Young people
every
do
single
not
day.
see that.
I had front row seats to it every day as a instant commander. As that, I went to so many fires during my time as a district chief. I went to so many fires where what I was actually witnessing was orchestrated chaos. It's happening.
It looks chaotic.
It's
but it's
chaotic.
Not.
No, but there's always a learning curve. You get into the from my walk of life, you get into the fire service, you fall on your face, you screw up, you do all these things. Then you get to the point where you go, okay, I think I'm ready to try to lead a couple people, 3 or 4 people. You take the next promotional test. Now I can lead an entire firehouse, a battalion, if you will, maybe not a battalion, but you get what I'm pointing, a company, if you will. And then you start to say, okay, I think I can do more. And when I started out as a chief officer, you think these guys, like in your head, you're like, oh, I got to have my hands in all of it, and I got to tell them this and that. It's like, no, you don't.
They know what to do.
They do.
Yeah.
Right.
They do.
Yep.
The men and women know what to do.
It's
all I'm ever doing is course correcting a little bit, just dialing a couple things.
like I remember on that building fire, I don't know if it was one or more fire hydrants weren't working.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's like the curveball. Hey, what we were supposed to do is not going to work. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
It's that problem solving. And I remember watching that going, wow, this is cool. Mm-hmm. But the question is, how do fire departments work it into their budget and prioritize capturing the essence of what it is to be a firefighter and getting it out there to inspire younger generations to go, look, when I was growing up, I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
And if I would have seen that, I might have been like, hey, this is a path I want to go down. Mm-hmm. But I never even considered. At the time, it was like, I was growing up in an era where there were all these movies about business and how cool it was to be in business. And I thought, and it's not that cool. Being a firefighter is way cooler. They just made it look cool in the movies. Yeah. Being a firefighter really is cool.
Backdraft helped a lot.
Oh man, we're gonna get to that in a second.
That does.
But I think, and I don't know how it works. It's different in a small town. You may not have that budget to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I mean. Everything right there.
It's like budget.
Oh my God!
But it's also prioritizing and going like, how do we?
But so many things, and here again, listening and viewing the show. If you look at this and you say, man, are we all just talking about firefighting every second of the podcast? And it's like, actually, you can apply so many of these concepts to what you're doing on your everyday, journey, your everyday life. I mean, that's business. Is you're prioritizing based on, most of the time it's based on budget. The fire service is just a good example of wherever the greatest need is, the fire service, the fire departments will shift to that need, and start to try to figure out a way to stopgap whatever's going on. Maybe you have an area of
they're putting out metaphorical fires.
Yeah, all the time. And it's based on budget. And I'll tell you the two places that get hit every single time, which is kind of the worst areas to get punished so often, is the training budget, training, ongoing training, kind of important. Yeah. But year after year, they'll figure out a way to carve money away from that department, that area of the fire department. They'll cut the training budget. The other one is they won't recognize that they're going to need fresh people. They're going to need the next round of people to take up the mantle and be the next firefighters.
So the budget becomes reactionary instead of planning for the future. Yeah.
And to what we're seeing now is you almost have to be constantly recruiting now. I can remember, testing processes when they were doing entry-level firefighter testing, and you kind of see like they'd start to ramp up the recruitment effort just prior to the testing. Now it's like they're pretty much recruiting like all the time. They're in the schools, they're doing job fairs, they're out in the community. We have an individual on the Rockford Fire Department right now that's doing just an amazing job, and he would be great to have on our show. But he's doing a great job but just constantly out there trying to figure out a way to get the fire service, the fire department in and of itself in front of people.
And to move past the 5-year-old's perspective of the fire department, right?
I mean,
you don't just roll in and go, hey, we're going to climb this ladder and knock over that cone with some water.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Actually really put some metal into it.
I think we've discussed this in some conversations, as the world is becoming such a place where you don't know what you're going to be up against in the next 20 years in your career, 30 years, because it seems like it's going to be more and more devastating. You know, you're not only dealing with fires or car accidents, you're dealing with, what if there's a terrorist attack?
Yeah, active shooters.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level. Like, what if I'm thinking about joining the NYPD? In the next 30 years, am I going to be running up into a building?
Yeah.
That's going to collapse again? What are the chances of that?
Right.
So you're thinking potentially. I don't know if I think a little bit like that, but
you're an active part of that conversation right now.
Well, yeah, and I think that. Yeah, I think what's interesting, Rob, is that if the everyday person, let's say the lay person, is thinking about those things, right? It kind of sucks. You know, we should be living a better life, right? In all ways. Mm-hmm. But this idea of what if? And again, the emergency services are planning for the what if. Where I look at, you know, when I came into the fire service in 1991. And then I look at it and I retire in July of this year of 2024. The fire service looks completely different,
night and day. Right.
And again, some of that I understand because I had already said that, you know, the fire service will adapt and it will say, okay, well, if this is where the need is, then that's where we'll shift to. But I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that I would have walked, you know, into a small little firehouse in Albany, Wisconsin, and been given here's a 3/4 boots and a pager, and when it goes off, just come to the fire station. We'll tell you what to do. And then as I'm retiring, a pager, yeah, exactly. Got to carry the pager. That's how I got the 411.
Oh, like a boss.
Yeah. You see my pager? It was sexy in high school.
I have to carry a pager.
Yeah,
very important.
I'm kind of a big deal. People know me.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do anything with a pager but spell boobs.
Yeah.
On it.
I bet on your calculator.
On the calculator for sure. Everybody.
Your calculator. No, and then just to finish up, I mean, and then as I'm looking at when I decided to retire, my last project that I was fundamentally working on was active shooter, active threat.
Yeah.
And getting ballistic vests and ballistic gear for our firefighters here, you know, at home.
Which seems both crazy and yeah, that makes sense. Like, why haven't we done that already?
Right.
Which is kind of a crazy state of mind to be living in as a world right now. But
that is crazy to me, you know, like, I was happy to do it. You know, I saw the need. I believed, I had passion for, let's figure out this issue. You know, there is a problem. The incident at Don Carter Lane drove it home for me. You know, that's where it really solidified to me that we need to be ready, you know, not just reactionary. We have got to be ready for the what if.
Why Don Carter?
Sand,
because that's kind of a
it was an active shooter event,
right?
You know, a person walked in, and he didn't walk in. I need to be a little bit more accurate, but he was already in the establishment, and I you know, there's parts of it that I'm not able to fill in all the gaps because we responded to the event, but as you know, as we understand, or at least as I understand, he was already inside the establishment, and you know, something went wrong, something set him off. He went out, got a weapon, walked in, and, you know, shot several people. And, you know, there were fatalities, and it was surreal. You know, I remember responding to it. I believe it was December 26th, 2019. And so I think day after Christmas, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just the whole responding to it actually was just kind of like, what am I getting into here?
Yeah. Is this really happening?
Yeah. And, getting on scene and seeing just an ocean of police cars, everywhere. And just coordinating that entire effort. And, we've been dealing with mass shootings in America for a long time now. I think about, I remember where I was at when Columbine was reported.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the same thing. Yep.
And that just goes to, talk about the sad turn of events in this country, where our mental health and illnesses are not, they're not getting addressed. And we think,
Right.
I think that we have we have this perspective that we think we're doing something. And in a lot of cases we are, so I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things. I do pay attention. And when we think that eliminating, say, a mechanical thing that can kill people, a gun, we'll just be clear. Talk about let's stop the guns. Let's get the guns and stop the guns. Okay. But what about the mental aspect behind it? Because that's the thing that we can't wrap our hands around. You can't get,
case in point, a mass stabbing incident.
Yeah. You'll get people that say, well, if you regulate or eliminate guns, then you have the capacity to stop so many at one particular incident. It's like, maybe.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that, but
I'll listen.
But it's not addressing the root.
It's not.
I feel like, and I don't want to get too far down into politics, but if you're going to take away the guns and you're going to take away my ability to protect myself, then you have also got to find the budget for mental health. You have to find a way to keep criminals off the street.
Yeah, remove the threat.
Not release them. I think in California now they're allowing people to steal $900. I mean they're allowing crime, releasing people back onto the streets. There is tons of undocumented immigrants in the and I'm not anti-immigration, but when you don't know who's in the country, who are these people, there's an increased feeling of vulnerability, and then you're going to allow that and go, by the way, we're going to take away your ability to protect yourself, and we're not going to protect you either.
And I think that there's some things that we do need to be clear with who we are at Original Firefighter, who we are as owners and being responsible people.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to tune in, listen in, buy our merchandise unless they felt that they could identify with us and felt like they were part of that community. I know what the three of us stand for. Sorry to break it to people, but there is a Constitution. Yeah. There is a Bill of Rights.
We don't live in a utopian society.
We don't. And I believe that we follow that. The American, flag flies and the anthem starts playing, and I start to look for where's the flag. Yeah. And I want to pay attention.
Right.
And I want to give respect where I can give it. But when we start to, kind of like tap into some of those hot button issues, you're going to create controversy.
Sure.
You're going to have people that are going to immediately split. They're going to be on one side of the fence versus the other. And then all of a sudden we have to find a way to get to the center. And that, I think, is where things are getting really messed up, is that we are not finding the center anymore.
No, we're closing the conversation off before it can take place. Yeah. It's not healthy.
Right. And that's why, just in the conversation so far today, is that I don't think you're going to hear on our show where we're going to take a stance. I mean, we'll have an opinion and I would like it to be a fact-based opinion, but it's like we cannot find that center balance right now. And to go back to what you asked about, say, Don Carter incident or the neighborhood mass stabbing incident. First of all, I didn't really think that I would be in a place or on a platform where I would even have a reason to speak about those things. But if we're going to talk about those things, then what I want to say is there is a mental health crisis in America that when I say we, our elected officials from top to bottom, and then communities as a whole, individuals within our communities, we're not paying attention.
Right.
We think we are.
Right.
We can talk a good talk and we say, we got this
language
program, we got this thing.
Yeah.
It's far more easy to point at one thing and go, that's the thing, and we got to get rid of it. And if we get rid of it, then everything's going to be better.
Yeah. And the problem is so multifaceted. And you have this increase in mental health issues. You can name so many reasons why this could be, and probably are part of it. It could just be the fact that as human beings, we're not meant to take in so much information about what's going on. If a tragedy happens in California, and all of a sudden it feels like it's next door, you know?
Yeah.
So we're dealing with this feeling like the world's falling apart. There's technological changes in our society that anyway, there's so many reasons, but a society that's thriving, people feel safe and secure. And I feel like we're drifting too far, whether it's real or not. I talk to my kids all the time about, like, when I was a kid, I took off on my bike and went and got ice cream, like a mile away.
Yeah.
And I played with kids like neighborhoods over, and I rode around. My parents didn't see me all summer long.
Yeah,
like,
be
I was
home
just
before the lamppost goes on, right?
I was just gone. Now I'm like, hey, you do not leave this yard.
It is funny.
You don't feel safe.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's funny that, first of all, I just poured ourselves some bourbon because I felt like this conversation was starting to go that direction where we needed to, have a little of our own mental release. And so here's a little bourbon for y'all, because we do that on the show. Grazie.
I guess it is.
We do that. We do coffee. We do bourbon.
I guess it is past 8 a.m.
8 somewhere.
Somebody is viewing this podcast at night. Cheers to you. Happy dinner.
Yeah, cheers.
It's apple juice. We were talking about, and this could be something that's true or that I made up as well, but we were talking about Dean Martin was always drinking bourbon, or I know he's also known for the Dean Martini.
Okay.
But rumor is it was always apple juice in the bourbon glass.
I could see that.
He was just throwing them back. Like,
I know the cigarettes were real.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
But I heard it was always apple juice, so he could stay on his toes.
We'll get to bourbon and
apple
cigars
juice
before the end of this. No, I think here's what's funny about, and then when I say not not ha-ha funny, I think what's seriously funny is that I don't ever come across anyone, not at all, where they go, if I describe my childhood, I don't hear anyone say, "Oh, that my child does." If I say, man, I was out riding my bike with my friends until, Phil, you guys know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
The street lamp lights would come on and you'd still be out there.
Yep.
You wouldn't come rolling back home until maybe 9 or something like that, And I describe that. I never hear anybody ever say, "Oh, my kids do that."
Yeah, no.
Correct me and go. And if there's anyone out there listening and you're,
tell us where you live.
Yeah, tell us where
we'd like to move there.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
that is what we're given. We're losing. I mean, we've lost it. I mean, I was about to say we're losing it. It's like, no, we've lost it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels unsafe. And I don't know if it's more unsafe than it was, but it feels, and people don't feel safe. And that's where I feel like we got to get behind things that get us as much as we can back to that feeling of security and safety.
I'm a big believer. I'm a subscriber to the idea that if you have a complaint, that's fine. If you bring a complaint forward, I'll listen.
How do you do it?
Bring a solution. You got to bring a solution. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Well, I think
you have to help me. What's going to be the fix or the solution? And so
I think solutions such as defund the police are not the solution.
Not good.
Things like that.
Not good.
I think that, and I understand there are bad apples that represent any.
Careful.
Whether it's, whether it's the police department. Yeah, you're going to have a police officer that doesn't represent who police officers truly are.
Right.
Sure.
That's true.
They're in all walks of life.
Yeah.
They're found everywhere, and
Right.
they have, they don't have good intentions, or
Yep. Yeah. I get that.
and the other way too is it could be, bad apples having bad intentions from the get-go. They were always out to do something wrong. There could also be the influence of so much stress and tension put upon certain, first responders, if you will, and someone snaps.
Oh yeah.
And that's horrible. That's not an excuse. I'm not suggesting that should be aimed as thought of as an excuse.
Right.
It's the fact that we're not identifying it. We're, because they always say it
Early enough.
Right. There's signs, are there not? There's usually something that says, this guy's a little off. What's going on? And especially if you can see a real change. I mean, the three of us are, we've already spoken that we're close, we're good friends. We would, I can pretty much tell you when you're having a bad day, and vice versa. But when you see a person that's like always having a bad day, and they're having a bad day every day, every single day,
can't get past
and it's just going on and on and on and on, and we just sort of like, I don't know, look the other way, or we don't, try to identify what might be going on.
I think
that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, you have to invest in the mental health. You have to invest in the training for the people that deal with making us feel secure in our society, and they are dealing with a whole slew of things that, armchair warriors would not be able to handle themselves, or most of us are not geared up to just naturally handle these situations. I have 3 kids. It's like, it is almost like, hey,
there's something always breaking around you.
You're, as a parent, as I have 3 kids, and my wife even more so probably understands this, you understand and appreciate these services more as you have 3 kids, and you're like, every time you're sitting down to take a break, somebody's got an issue that needs to be taken care of.
Right, yeah.
It's like over and over. By the time you, at the end of the day, you're like, oh.
Screw your rest period.
Like if you're a firefighter, it's like being a parent. It's like somebody's carbon monoxide detector went off. We better go check it out. So they don't
even get me started.
They don't accident,
This is definitely where any firefighters that are listening, they're like, exactly. Yeah. Stop calling for that. I can hear it already. Like, just stop.
Yeah.
And
but it's everything. Meaning that
this can go
like, it could be the little things to the responding to the structure fires. It's everything in between there.
Yeah.
And you're there to solve all the issues in our society.
Yeah.
And so
at the same time,
I think that's foundational.
We're not solving, right? But that's the thing, is that you just said, so we have firefighters or police officers or paramedics that are quote unquote solving, right? I got to solve this, I got to solve that. And it's like, how much of it could, the whole gamut, how much of that, what percentage could just be solved by people just being responsible,
just
for themselves, and paying attention and learning.
There's a lot of negligence.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't, I'm not going to worry about that because someone else will worry about it for me. And then I'll be fine. And don't take that for granted.
Right.
Good Lord. If you are a firefighter that tunes in and listens, I know you feel it, guy or girl, man, you guys know that, we don't have a problem being there. We signed up for it. I will attest to that. We signed up for it, and we say, yeah, we'll answer that call. We'll answer it night or day.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you.
No, right. And that goes back to the lifestyle brand of Original Firefighter, which is we want firefighters to feel like there's something there for them that they can wear, whether they wear our brand, whether they carry, their cell phones with our logo on it, or perhaps listen to our podcast. Maybe they'll drink our future libation.
Giving away secrets here.
Maybe. And so hopefully there's a community out, we build a community along with the firefighters.
Right.
And they feel a sense of, we get them.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is why we decided to go with gear for your off days, right? I mean, this isn't, we're not making radio straps. We're not making turnout gear.
Right.
We see the value in the job and what's being done, but we also see the value in the reset and the recharge that happens in your off days. So that's something that we want to invest in as a company. That's what we're, going to prepare products for, to help you be yourself on your off day outside of the job, be a whole human, recharge, reset, so that you can get back into work, fully ready, fully rested.
And we got to remember I like that. Be a whole human.
Yeah.
That's good. I knew we were in business together for a reason. No,
when you figure it out, let me know.
You're right. Yeah, no, I like that. But in the election cycle that we find ourselves in today, I got a little quiz show.
Oh my gosh!
Within the show, and this is meant for.
It's going to be the best quiz show ever.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. I do better Trump than that.
You do.
I do. No, what I did, because I wanted to have a little fun, and we, the three of us, have had good political debate and conversation, and it's good fun fodder, isn't it? In today's world, holy cow!
Right.
It
is.
So, just to make sure that we're in the present day of understanding what the landscape looks like. So I paid attention to the RNC, which, wrapped in, I think, July. And then the DNC, wrapped last night. And so there's been these reporters from all the different networks, and I don't give a crap about, which one people like and don't like. I don't care. There are, half of them are just entertainment in themselves anyways. Just like this show.
The whole thing's a circus,
It is, right. But I was amazed. So in both at the RNC and the DNC, they had reporters from different networks that would go around and ask people off the street. They would just ask them questions, like about America or...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they would just see if, does anybody know any of these things? So I thought this would be fun. I thought this would be a little bit fun. Given again the election. So here we go. Are you guys ready to play?
All right, let's do it.
You guys good?
Oh man.
All right.
Is this like recall stuff?
Well, you definitely need that ghost drink.
I know. It says
energy right on it.
Makes you smarter and it makes you a better gamer.
We have a lot going on. We've got ghost energy.
It makes you politically engaged.
Eagle Rare.
My recall is what I've noticed. I started reading some books about this. I don't want to go down a rabbit trail, but I'm gonna.
We almost got into a segment there.
As I'm
this is
in my
new segment
40s, I'm like, man, my memory needs I need to exercise it because I don't remember. Aaron, your memory is like a freaking trap. He remembers phone numbers after the first time, and I'm known people.
Who does that? Old people.
Old people.
I've known people for 5 years, and I'm like, "What's your name again?" So I'm trying to exercise my recall, but so I'm a little bit afraid of this.
You should be.
If it's like trivia,
you should be. All right. So question 1 to the original Firefighter founders, and
first, what are we playing for here?
The bottle cap of this Eagle Rare bottle.
Oh, all right.
It's kind of lame, isn't it?
I don't have that bottle cap yet. Really
should be a
Let's go.
Bottle.
Let's
right?
go. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
I got a couple letters I'm still missing. All right, let's go.
All right. Question 1. This is going to be an easy one. What year is the founding of America?
1776.
Oh, there we go. 1776. Good job, Aaron. So this is competitive. So Aaron's up by 1. Rob.
Well, I knew that, but he just answered first because I was born. I was born on the bicentennial.
This is for
year.
lunch. This is for lunch.
See, now it matters.
I'm just every time he answers, I'm going to be like, I knew that, but I let him get the point because I'm so generous.
Okay, question number 2.
It's not even fair because his memory is way better than mine.
Question number 2. Where was President Lincoln shot at? What?
Ford's Theater.
Ford Theater.
Ford Theater. There you go.
Too fast on that one.
Which one? Rob got it?
We'll say Rob got it. Yeah.
I was by
so Ford Theater, right?
1,000
All right.
milliseconds.
Okay, question 3. Ronald Reagan, President Ronald Reagan. Where was Ronald Reagan born? You just gave me the state.
Was he in
You
California?
just gave me the state.
He wasn't born in California, I don't think.
He was
Texas.
He was an
He's
actor.
an actor, yeah.
I'm just going to go.
What'd you say?
Going to go state by state.
What did you say, Aaron?
No, I was saying, yeah, he was an
I
actor.
don't know where he was born.
Hold on, let me think.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
Come on.
I'm going to take a wild guess. Arizona.
With all, so I got California and Arizona.
I just went for the one that was the least likely.
Even though we're sitting in Illinois,
I said Illinois. You didn't say yes.
I thought I heard you say Illinois.
I did.
It is Illinois. I'm going to give that one to you, Rob. I thought I heard Illinois.
But it was Southern Illinois, which
I
is
did, but at
basically
that
Arizona.
point I was like, it's probably not.
Tampico, Illinois.
It's not a real place, guys.
I just thought that I thought
Don't go there.
Could it be Illinois, or am I just thinking? I thought yeah, right. And I thought if it was Illinois, wouldn't we be celebrating that more?
We should.
You don't hear about that
right.
much.
No, you're absolutely right. You're right.
So I was kind of second guessing myself, going. I figured if it was really Illinois, I'm probably thinking of Lincoln. So.
In my defense, I was not born in Illinois. I did not take Illinois history.
I wasn't born in Illinois.
Oh yeah, none of us were. I guess that fails. Sorry,
but Rob got it. So
all right, Rob, way to go, Rob.
Good job, Rob.
Good job, Rob.
All right, 2-1. Now, question 4. Which U.S. president had the shortest presidential term?
Wasn't there one that he got shot and then he was it Garfield? I don't know. Somebody died.
I was going to say
Kennedy. Died pretty quick.
Yeah, he did. He died.
I can't remember.
He just got sick. He just got sick. Any guesses?
But I can't remember who that was.
William Henry Harrison.
Oh.
Well, no wonder I didn't.
William Henry Harrison. He had 1 month in term. That's it. Got sick.
It's a big month, though.
It's a big month. Lots of things got done.
At least everybody remembers him for his contribution.
More got done in that month than
if he had made it
last
through the first 100
years.
days. If he had made it to day 100, the landscape of the U.S. would have been completely different.
So there you go. That's some fun facts on original firefighter William Henry Harrison, the shortest serving president for 1 month. But then question 5, who had the longest term?
Roosevelt.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Roosevelt.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Like what made his longer?
Well, we didn't have
They hadn't put in place
the 2-term limit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was so popular. And I was just out in DC a couple weeks ago, and I went through. I mean, I've been to DC so many times, and I've seen all the memorials many times. I had actually never walked through the FDR memorial, which is just it's just outside. It's and it's not very populated. That's for sure. Like you can get through it on but it's actually done very well. It's huge, and it does reflect all 3 terms. That actually he got into his 4th term. He was actually starting his 4th term when he died. So
crazy.
Yeah,
that's a leader.
That is a leader. He did bring us through a lot of stuff. 2-2 right now. All right, number 6. Who is our current Secretary of State?
Anthony Blinken.
I just said Blinken to beat him.
Oh boy. I think that's a tie. I'm going to go with tie there. Y'all are going to get.
How do you split a bottle cap?
I don't know. This is for this is for lunch. Yeah. Okay, so you got it. Yes, Anthony Blinken. Good job. All right. Question 7.
Blinking.
What secret society did presidents such as Bush Jr. and
Freemasons.
Sr.
Was it the Masons?
and John Kerry, what secret society did they all, what did those guys, what were they known to be in?
Not Freemasons.
The Illuminati.
What secret society?
Jeez. I don't know. It's a secret.
Yeah, right?
If it's a secret, we know it's a pretty
Gryffindor.
bad secret.
Come on, guys. If I gave you the university of where that society is at, would that help?
Probably not.
No? Yale University?
I mean, I know,
Clearly, we weren't in on the secret.
It's the Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones
Society.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, Skull and Bones. All right.
And that was the last we heard from Will.
That is...
Wait a minute. What's going on here? All right. Okay. Question 8. There's 10 questions altogether. What is the Department of the Interior responsible for? What does the Department of the Interior do? What is the Department of
Pick the drapes.
Make sure that there's matching play settings.
You got me on this one, man.
Did you know these before you made
I know
the
I'm paying
questions?
their paycheck.
I knew most of them.
You did.
I did have to clarify this one, but the reason why that I picked it was because I actually walked by it when I was out in DC, and I was like, "What do they do? Why are there so mam buildings out here?"
Our government isn't too big.
No, not at all.
Why is this building 4 blocks long?
Am I in Vegas or something? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What do? They manage public lands and minerals, national parks and wildlife refuges.
All right. Yeah.
I was going to
And-
say that.
They uphold federal trust responsibilities with Indian tribes and Native Alaskans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Big job.
useful knowledge.
Yeah, right. Who's the secretary of the Department of Interior?
Oh,
I have
gosh,
no idea.
come on.
All right. Question 9. Moving on. What is the reference in time that begins the Gettysburg Address?
4 score and 7 year.
You got it right.
He did.
He completed
He went
it.
all the way. Rob pulls ahead.
Rob wins lunch.
No, one more to go.
one more.
One more to go.
Yeah, where are we at?
One more to go.
Is this
Question
futile?
10. So,
I had a ghost, so I kind of cheated.
all right. Question 10, last question. Rob is ahead by 1. How many, and I'll just go with whoever gets closest without going over, can't go over. How many U.S. military bases does the U.S. have around the world?
Around the world.
Here and around the world. How many U.S. military bases?
Billions and billions.
We have the biggest number of bases ever.
It's the greatest
You
military.
can't even comprehend the number.
Ever.
Oh, man. How many bases? 320.
Aaron says 320.
I'm going to say,
All you got to do is guess under and hope I went over.
no, I'm going to,
Not to give away strategy here.
bases.
You've never been.
I'm going to
You've
go,
never been
I'm
on
gonna go
Price is
high.
Right, have
I'm going
you?
to say
No whammies. No whammies.
No whammies, no whammy, no whammy.
1,000.
Rob says 1,000.
I'm going high, but I'm giving you room.
Yeah, there's room definitely.
Giving you room.
Well, if that's what you're going
It's-
with, then
it's
it's
sad
a
if we do-
tie between Aaron and Rob because Aaron wins without going over. The number is 750 in
Oh, I
80
couldn't go
countries.
over.
I'm
I
kinda
should have.
glad.
Yeah, I should have.
750
Played that strategically.
military bases.
I was closer though.
That's good to
in
know,
80
though.
countries.
I was
Makes me
closer,
feel
but I went
good.
over. So I get half a point.
me sleep a little better at night.
Kind of why they have an unlimited budget. Thanks
Yeah,
for
right.
playing. I just wanted to be sure that
That's
we
pretty
were
weak. We only have 700. What's wrong with us?
All right, Will.
I thought we were stronger than that.
I'm coming back at you, Will.
Oh, good Lord.
You got your chance. You got your shots in. This is a new segment.
It is easy when you
This
have
is
the
everybody's
answers.
favorite segment that I just created this morning called Will versus the Machine.
Oh, God Lord.
All right.
Like
Starts
a
drinking
Terminator?
I
immediately.
asked
Like a Terminator machine?
ChatGPT 3 questions.
Okay.
Each of these questions is a top 5 question. If you can get 3 of the 5 for each question, that ChatGPT came up with. All right, so you got to think like a machine to
Okay.
beat the machine.
Okay.
If you get these right, you can pick a cigar from the humidor. If you get it wrong, you've got to contribute a cigar to the humidor. Okay.
God, Lord. All right.
You ready?
Is that the new segment of our show called The Machine?
I don't know.
Maybe that's going to be
I like it.
the quiz
I like
show,
it.
right? The Machine.
Here we go.
That's nice.
Question number 1. What are 5 of the most well-known fires in history? So you got to get 3 of the 5.
You
5, 3 of the 5.
Some of these,
3 of the 5.
you got to get 3 of the 5 right.
And just clarifying, in American history
History.
or
Whoa.
history?
I'm giving you the question as it was asked to ChatGPT.
Good Lord. Okay. All right. So
Here we
I'm going
go.
to go with this. All right. All right. I'm going to go with the Great Chicago Fire.
He gets 1.
Okay.
That was the easy one.
On the same day of the Great Chicago Fire was the Peshtigo
I
Fire.
already know you're wrong. You're wrong on that one.
Am I?
You were right about the fact, but you were wrong about it being one of the 5 most
Really?
well-known in history.
Really?
All right, let's go.
All right. So, okay. I'm going to go with the Coconut Grove Fire. The Coconut Grove Club Fire. Coconut Club.
Wrong.
No? Shit. This is why I wasn't. This isn't.
Think old.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Historically old. I mean, since the bucket became a
the
thing.
bucket.
This is not good.
And before
This
that,
is
it was
why
like
was
whatever you
never-
could fit in
Everybody's
your
why I
hand or your
just
mouth.
spitting on it. Yeah.
In my defense, this is why I was never an arson investigator.
All right. I'm not looking for excuses. I'm looking for answers.
All right, going old.
Think cavemen.
I know the White House burned once.
Oh, what's
I'm going to go with the burning of the White House by the Redcoats.
That is incorrect.
Not correct?
Not correct. All right, that's 4 guesses. You get 1 more. You're definitely not getting this one right.
I'm not getting
Machine.
the
Do
cigar.
we get to
am
pick
I?
the cigar
Machine
that he
has
puts in the humidor?
Can we just hear him? Because
He gets 1 more guess.
Okay.
I just want to see if he gets another one off the list.
The other one I'm going to go with, I don't know, the burning of Rome.
Yes, that is one of them.
Is it?
Yeah. All right.
Just name another big city
Okay.
and just hope that it
Seriously.
burned.
Right.
You really
Yeah.
could. You really could here. All right. So you got the Great Fire of Rome, 64 AD. Got that
64
correct.
AD.
You got the Chicago Fire, 1871. What you missed was the Great Fire of London, 1666.
Well, this is all cities burning. The whole city burned.
The San Francisco Earthquake and Fire, 1906.
Oh, now it's
God.
the earthquake and fire.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Now I gotta
hold
be
on.
a
One more.
geologist.
Uno mas. The Great Fire of Smyrna, 1922.
Smirnoff.
Where's that at? Is that
That's when all the
Turkey.
all the vodka burned.
that was a
Wrong.
tragic fire. That was tragic.
Okay, ready? Question 2.
Okay, go ahead.
This may be a little bit easier for you. All right.
What
What are
puts
the
out fire?
5? What?
What puts out fire?
You got it wrong, guy. I don't know what happened. What are the 5 largest fire departments in the United States?
What are the 5 largest? Mm-hmm. 5 largest.
And I will give you a hint here, okay?
Yeah.
Just to send you in the
One
right
of them's
direction.
New York.
The 5 largest fire departments in the United States based on number of personnel and scale of operations.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think I've got a decent shot.
All right.
So 5, right?
5.
Okay. FDNY,
Yes.
LA City,
Yes.
LA County.
Yes.
Ooh.
I thought that one might trip you up.
All right. This is where it gets interesting. Houston.
Yes. So you're already winning this one. Let's see if you can get the 5th. 5 out of 5. Can you do it? You better do it.
Philadelphia.
No.
No, not Philadelphia. Really?
Then close to home.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
I can't believe I skipped right over Chicago.
New York, Chicago, LA
Yes.
City, LA County, and Houston.
Nice.
Done.
All right.
How did I miss Chicago?
Okay.
I'm an idiot.
Here we go. Ready?
All right.
All right.
Oh, tapping the papers.
We can do one of two, and I'll let you pick which one you want to do. What are the 5 highest grossing movies or television series about the fire department or firefighters? What do you want to pick, movies or TV?
Oh, God. You're telling me that there's 5 television series about the fire service?
I thought the same thing.
I'm going to have to go with movies.
Movies.
You just
Okay.
narrow
I figured
narrow
go with
that to
direction.
3.
All right, let's
pick
go.
the top 3. Or just, yeah.
He's got to get 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already established
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Backdraft.
Yes.
Ladder 49.
Yes. He's going in order here.
Yeah. Towering Inferno.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just clinched the win right there.
Yeah, I did.
Let's see if you can get the other 2.
And oh God, movies, and this is related to fire. Why do I know those 3 for sure?
I know one you're definitely not going to get.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not The Great Gatsby, is it?
No.
I think there was a fire.
Wrong
in that.
kind of fire.
There was a fire in that movie, I think. Yeah, I'm stumped. I got the 3. I got those 3. Dante's Inferno.
No.
Damn it.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 2017's Only the Brave.
Oh, what the heck?
Oh, of course.
Grossed $26 million.
Tragic story, by the way.
So that was
Terrible.
number 3. Towering Inferno was number 5, by the way. This is like in order how much they grossed.
Yeah.
Number 4, Planes Fire Rescue.
What?
Animated film.
Oh, yeah.
Disney.
That's a great one.
Disney screws me again.
Oh,
We have that on DVD.
All right, Will, you are a winner, despite what everybody says.
I do want to, because we did reference Arizona Bob, and I do want to just give a shout out to Prescott, Arizona. Only the Brave. That's what that's based on, is the hot shots there that perished, and that's a tragic story. Yeah, good show.
Great show.
I love the machine.
Let's do it again.
I love the machine. Can we just do one quick thing? This is just a little montage of us hanging out together, kind of the way we are today. This was sort of my way of letting you guys know how important you guys are to me, how special that you guys are to me. I think that just like these photos that I shared with Francisco and wanted him to put up on the screen there, and just kind of let you guys see that our camaraderie is very real, and it's a huge reason why I love being in this business with you guys at Original Firefighter. I think that we've got room to grow. I think we've got places that we want to go with this company.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest thing is that we want to remember that our listeners and viewers, you are the most important thing to us here at Original Firefighter. We want you to continue to tune in and listen in. We want you to feel like you are a part of a community, and that we want you to know that we are here to give back as much as we possibly can. That being said, we want to say thank you for tuning in. We want to see you again back at the Original Firefighter Podcast. And as always, it is gear for your off day. The podcast is here for your off days. Have a great one.